Alright, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, then welcome. The 45 ACP wasn't built to be the most powerful handgun in the world. It was built because everything else failed. At the turn of the 20th century, the Army already had handguns, but in real fights they weren't getting the job done. Smaller calibers looked fine on paper and they were cost effective, but up close, under stress, they weren't stopping determined opponents. Following the Philippine insurrection, the Army had many after-action reports stating that the standard .38 Colt revolvers weren't enough. This man, Antonio Caspi, was shot 4 times with the standard .38 Colt revolver, but was only subdued after receiving a butt stroke to the forehead with a Springfield rifle. Something there had to change. Because of this incident and several others, the Army made a decision. 45 caliber, not because it was perfect, but because it worked better than anything else they had. To figure that out, they ran a series of tests in 1904, led by Colonel John Thompson and Major Louis-LaGarde. They didn't rely on theory, they tested on actual tissue, using both live animals and human cadavers. They were trying to answer one question: what actually stops a man? These tests employed a .476 revolver, the .455 Webley, the .45 Colt, and the 9mm Luger. LaGarde later documented these results under the authority of the Surgeon General, and the conclusion was simple. A handgun bullet needed enough weight and penetration to reach vital structures and break down resistance along the way. Lighter rounds could wound, but they couldn't always stop. Now here's where the story shifts. The Army didn't need a better revolver. They already had a .45 Colt and it worked. What they needed was a modern pistol that could deliver that same performance faster and more reliably. And that's where John Browning comes in. He designed a system around a new cartridge, rimless, feedable, built for a magazine. That cartridge became the 45 ACP. And the pistol built around it became the 1911. The 1904 test didn't hand the Army a finished answer. It gave them direction. It showed them what worked and what didn't. John Browning looked at that not just as a question of the caliber, but also a question of function. How do you take a heavier, slower bullet and make it run reliably in a self-loading pistol? Revolvers could obviously already handle it, but in a semi-automatic, that was a different challenge entirely. The pistol Browning built didn't just stay on paper or in some patent office. It went into service March 29, 1911, and stayed there for decades. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and beyond. It became the standard because it worked all day, in and out, real soldiers in real conditions. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't built to impress civilians. It was built to be reliable, accurate enough under stress, and deliver the performance the Army had demanded back in those early tests. Every detail, the grip, the sights, the magazine, recoil system was designed around that same principle. Make a pistol that solves the problem the Army couldn't fix with anything else. That's why the 1911 isn't just a gun. It's a product of engineering, testing, and firearms history. In those years, the world changed. Cartridges would never be the same. It wasn't magic, it wasn't theory. It was the result of failure, testing, and adjustment. The Army wasn't chasing power. They were chasing something that would actually work when it mattered. So no, the 45 ACP wasn't built for what you think. It was built because everything else failed. If you like this video, you want to see more like this, feel free to check out the other videos on my channel, my playlists. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by, and I'll see you in the next one.